So part 2 of the Baddies Gone Wild reunion picks up where the last one left off, where Cupcake ends up coming on stage, and obviously the audience was not feeling her at all this season because they booed the hell out of Cupcake. And Cupcake immediately starts addressing those trans rumors that were going around. I definitely saw the photos online, so to me, I thought it was true. I thought that she really is trans, but then she ended up flashing everybody at the reunion. I didn't see what she flashed necessarily because I wasn't there, but people were saying that she proved that she's actually a woman. People are saying that she could have had surgery. That is true. She could have definitely had surgery, but I guess we won't really know until somebody actually comes with some receipts. But until then, I'm putting that whole thing to rest. But Coco ends up coming on stage and she gets booed out of the house by the audience, and honestly, rightfully so, because she was my least favorite baddie this season because I just felt like she went against the wrong girls and she was running up behind the same girl that gave her a black eye the entire season. Like, the only thing that I'll remember about Coco is that she walked around with a black eye the entire season that Daisy gave her and she never got her lick back for it. Like, that's crazy. Like, she tried so hard to go against Bahati and fight her multiple times, but didn't fight the girl who blacked her eye. Now, Janisha did end up asking the girls if there's anything that they would have done differently this season, and Teetee basically doubles down on everything she did this season. She has absolutely no regrets, and I'm not saying that she has to regret anything, but the fact that she doubled down on everything that she did and said that she should have done worse because she wasn't bullying the way that she could have been a bully is crazy to me. That shows that she hasn't learned anything from this season and that she enjoys the hate that she's getting on social media. And I'm not saying that people should go give these girls hate, because I don't think it's cool to go into people's inboxes or go into people's comment section and antagonize them. I still think it's crazy that she doesn't see anything wrong with any of the things that she did this season. Teetee may not care what people thought about her in the comment sections, but I definitely think that Hurricane M is bothered by a lot of the things that fans have been saying about her, like saying that she's obsessed with Jadynn and she won't let things go. She basically said that the only thing that she wishes that she would have done differently this season is in her confessional, she should have talked more about what was going on behind the scenes so that people can understand why she was going on and on about Jadynn. Honestly, in my opinion, there's nothing that she could say that could justify the way that she went at Jadynn the entire season. Like, she went at this girl for absolutely no reason at all over something that happened 2 years prior to them coming on the show, and it wasn't even something involving Jadynn, it was something involving Jadynn's mom. So to me, I just thought that was weird. But Jadynn did tell Hurricane M to shut the hell up from backstage, so that's when Janisha ended up bringing out Oxy, Shay, Bahati, and Jadynn. And as soon as they came on stage, it was just a big brawl. I thought it was crazy the way that Oxy snatched up Hurricane M as soon as she got on stage, though. I mean, she was really whooping Hurricane M. I'm not going to say that Hurricane M didn't fight back, but when she's not fighting Jadynn, she definitely can't fight as good as she thinks she can. Jadynn really surprised me because when she ran on stage, she snatched up Teetee really quick and she was kind of keeping up with Teetee a bit. So Oxy was fighting Hurricane M, Shay was fighting Gloss Up, and Jadynn was fighting Teetee, and then Bahati was being held by security, which was kind of annoying me because why are you holding her back while her friends are being outnumbered by the other girls on stage? I was looking at Rella a little bit sideways though, because why are all your friends fighting and you're sitting back in the corner doing absolutely nothing, even though you have the biggest mouth out of everybody in your group? So that was kind of confusing to me, and I love that Isaiah clocked that throughout the reunion, that Rella was sitting back not doing anything, yet she has one of the biggest mouths on the show. I will say though, despite the fact that Oxy, Jadynn, Bahati, and Shay were all arguing with each other backstage, when they got on stage, all of them had each other's backs because Oxy ended up fighting with Teetee, okay? And Bahati and Jadynn immediately jumped in, and I know people say that they don't like jumping, and I don't like jumping either, but the way these girls jumped on all 4 of them all season, I think it's justified that they were jumping back at this reunion. Shay and Hurricane M started fighting, and Shay was definitely catching Hurricane M, and at one point, security was trying to break the 2 of them up, and Shay had a death grip on Hurricane M's hair. Like, she was holding on and she would not let go. I think 2 minutes went by and she was still holding on to that damn girl's hair. And then Oxy comes out of nowhere and she runs at Hurricane M and she pops her in the back of the head while she's being held by security. I was like, damn, they are not playing at this reunion. But Teetee is in the wrong business, okay? She should be trying out for the Olympics because that girl was hopping in the air every which way possible, because when Oxy ran up and hit Hurricane M in the back of the head like she snuck her, all of a sudden Teetee jumps up in the air and she snatches up Oxy from behind and she's wrapping her arms around her neck, and I'm like, damn, where the hell did she come from? I thought that was funny. But again, I definitely wasn't feeling that the security was holding on to Bahati and Jadynn. It's like, let them get out there and fight with their friends because they're going to be outnumbered once more girls end up coming on stage. So I really thought that that was weird, that security was holding them back so much. I feel like Cupcake got a little bit too comfortable at the reunion at one point because she was sitting back relaxing because she thought she was going to be untouchable because she had a boot on her foot. But Bahati said absolutely not. And she ran up from behind and snatched her up while she was sitting on that couch and she was whooping her. I was like, damn, she is really catching her. I thought it was funny because Cupcake definitely came to the reunion thinking she wasn't going to get touched, and she absolutely did. Teetee comes out of nowhere like a super villain, and she comes flying in the air and she pops Bahati in the back of the head while Bahati is fighting Cupcake. I was like, where the hell does this girl keep coming from? Like, they need a lot of security on Teetee because she's small and skinny and she can squeeze through places, because where the hell does she keep coming from? Bahati and Cupcake start fighting with each other, okay, because Cupcake didn't even know who was beating her the hell up from behind, so she ended up asking the crowd who was hitting her in the back of the head, and they told her it was Bahati, so the two of them end up squaring up with each other, and Bahati definitely took over that fight. Cupcake fell backwards, and Bahati took full control. She started whooping Cupcake. I was like, damn. I mean, I don't even think it has anything to do with the boot on Cupcake's foot. I just think Cupcake can't fight. But at one point during this reunion, I got so goddamn annoyed because basically, Jadynn ends up calling out Rella for a fight, and the two of them are both telling each other to run up, and nobody's running up, nobody's swinging. They're just standing there going back and forth. I swear they were sitting there for like 2 minutes straight, telling each other to run up, and nobody did shit. It was so goddamn annoying. Like, this is the longest start of a fight that I've ever seen before. But finally, they start fighting with each other, and Rella starts swinging on Jadynn, and Jadynn is blocking all of Rella's hits. Like, Rella doesn't get a hit in at all because Jadynn is blocking it. She's backing up, she's moving the right way, and then all of a sudden Coco gets up like she's running over there like she's gonna get involved. And I like that Isaiah told Coco not to get involved and let them fight on their own because Jadynn was doing really good. I feel like Isaiah should have been on the stage and not with the audience. And this is no offense to the woman that was hosting the reunion with Janisha. I actually forgot her name, but I just feel like Isaiah pays attention to the seasons, and I feel like, you know, he has a lot to say, and I feel like he was gonna clock shit, but because he was in the audience, he wasn't able to really do much. I don't even watch his reviews, but he does pop up a lot in my feed on Instagram, so I know that he gets a lot of attention and a lot of views off of his reviews. So I definitely felt like it would have been nice to see him on the stage. I don't think it was necessary for them to have 3 hosts because I feel like, you know, Janisha basically handles it on her own anyway, so I didn't think it was necessary to have 3. They finally were able to sit down and have a little bit of a conversation before fighting started back up again, and basically Janisha wanted to know what the beef was between all of the girls, and Bahati and Jadynn said that it's one-sided beef between them and the other girls because the other girls started with them. And honestly, that is true. The other girls definitely did start with them. In every situation, they started with them first. And Jadynn started saying that the reason why her and her girls are jumping at the reunion is because the girls were jumping all season, and Rella and the rest of the girls were trying to act stupid like they didn't know when they jumped the girls. And it's like, you literally jumped Shay and Oxy and tag teamed Shay and also tag teamed Bahati and also jumped on Jadynn all the time, and it was multiple girls at once dragging their beds out of the rooms and trying to take their luggage. Like, I don't understand why they're acting confused. At one point during this conversation, Bahati and Teetee start going back and forth with each other because Bahati felt like Teetee jumped in the beef that she had with Rella, which is true. I feel like Teetee was the reason why Bahati got into it with people the very first episode because she started coming at, you know, Bahati about her wig. I don't understand how her wig affected Teetee, but she made a comment about, you know, Bahati's wig. Rella tried to give her a wrap for her head. Bahati told Rella that she wasn't going to wear the wrap on her head. Rella felt some type of way and started fighting Bahati, and then later that day, Teetee fought Bahati too. So Bahati was telling the truth, and Teetee got upset about it and claimed she doesn't remember. So Bahati and Teetee start fighting with each other. Teetee falls back on the couch while she's in the middle of fighting Bahati, and Jadynn pops her twice in the head. I thought that was funny because Jadynn was actually doing a lot this reunion, more than what she did throughout the season, but I guess she got some confidence at the reunion, and I love that for Jadynn because I actually liked her this season. I thought this part was so funny, okay, because at one point during the fight between Bahati and Teetee, they ended up on the floor fighting with each other. And when Teetee got up from the floor, she was pointing and laughing at Bahati, and all of a sudden, Oxy runs up out of nowhere and she pops, you know, Teetee in the back of the head, and I thought that shit was so funny. There was a lot of little funny moments at this reunion. I actually felt like this reunion was actually enjoyable to watch. Janisha does end up getting things to calm down a little bit, and she starts talking to Shay about everything that she went through throughout the season and how some some of the fans in the audience were saying that she deserves to get her Baddies chain. I completely agree. I definitely feel like Shay should get a Baddies chain because she did handle her own throughout the season. They were starting with her from the very first episode, and she held her own every time, even when she was being jumped or tag teamed or people throwing peanuts on her when she's allergic. I just felt like she held her own, and I definitely feel like she should get a chain. I guess off camera, Ming Lee did apologize to Shay about the peanuts because she said that she did not know that, she was allergic to peanuts. But Gloss Up kind of disgusted me a little bit at this part of the reunion because when she was asked about how she feels about throwing peanuts on Shay, who's allergic, she basically doubled down on it and said that she didn't care and she didn't feel bad. And it's like, girl, you're throwing something on somebody that they're allergic to. You could have really affected this girl's life. Like, thank goodness Shay did not have a severe allergic reaction to those peanuts. But Oxy ends up coming out of nowhere and she comes back on stage and she calls out Gloss for a fight because she feels like Gloss been giving her dirty looks while they were sitting down. So they start fighting with each other, and Oxy always kind of wins the fights with Gloss Up to me. Like, I don't feel like she just beats up Gloss, but to me she always wins the fights. But Teetee ends up jumping in this fight, and then Bahati ends up jumping in to even the playing field. So I like that even though the girls were disagreeing with each other backstage, when they came on stage they definitely had each other's back. But there's a part of me that really wishes that they would have had this energy in the house, because those girls would have not been able to take over the house and bully them the way that they did had they would have stood up for themselves the way that they're standing up for each other at this reunion. At one point, Janisha does end up asking the other girls why they didn't give Oxy, Jadynn, Shay, and Bahati a fair chance to really try to get to know them. And honestly, Teetee started talking and she didn't have any legitimate reason as to why she didn't like those girls. I just feel like she likes to fight and she likes drama. So she found the people that she thought were the weakest links, and that's who she went after. Same with all the rest of the girls in the house. Natalie came out drunk as hell, stirring the pot, and she ended up asking Bahati what happened between her and Daisy after the show stopped filming, because Natalie said that Daisy DM'd her and said that Bahati put her address out there. Bahati cleared it up and said that she never put Daisy's address out there, but that she did put Daisy's number out there, and that's probably how people found her address. When Natalie asked her why she put Daisy's number out, she said it's because Daisy started a rumor that she was sleeping with one of the Sue's security guards, and she said that it's not true. She wasn't sleeping with this man, and the security guard said that she wasn't sleeping with him either. So I thought that was messy for Daisy to lie on them like that, especially because she could have cost that man his job too. But I will say I don't think it's right for Bahati to put out this girl's number, because she knows that Daisy has children and that people can find where you live at with your phone number. I don't know if she knows that, but you can definitely find out someone's address from their phone number, and so I did think that that was not right to do. However, what Daisy did to Bahati wasn't right either. Teetee ends up throwing something at Bahati out of nowhere, and then the two of them start fighting. And they're pushing and pulling on each other, and all of a sudden Jadynn jumps in and she pops Teetee twice, which I thought was really funny. Jadynn was really on one at this reunion. But Daisy hears Bahati talking about her on stage, so while Bahati and Teetee are in the middle of going back and forth with each other, Daisy runs past security and she tries to run out on stage, and security tries to grab her and she falls flat on her damn stomach. But she got up really quickly, which actually really surprised me. She got up really fast and she ran at Bahati, and the two of them started fighting. Daisy definitely won the fight against Bahati, and she definitely used her weight as an advantage, which a lot of people do. And in this fight with Bahati, she definitely put all of her weight on Bahati and she started taking over that entire fight. But while Daisy's back is turned and she's talking to the crowd, all of a sudden Bahati runs up out of nowhere and she starts popping Daisy in the back of the head while she's looking the other way. I thought that was funny that she snuck Daisy, because at the end of the day, Daisy was going to put all of her weight on Bahati, and that's the reason why she snuck her. Do I agree with people sneaking? No, I don't like people sneaking. I think you should just fight head up. But at the end of the day, Bahati did what she needed to do, because the next round that they have, Bahati isn't able to get any hits in on Daisy because Daisy gets her on the ground and she sits on top of her and she just starts taking off on her. So I guess sneaking Daisy was the right thing for Bahati to do, because at least she was able to get some hits in on her. Teetee ends up calling out Jadynn for a fight, so Jadynn gets up, which I was actually surprised about. Once again, Jadynn definitely surprised me at this reunion, but she got up. Teetee was swinging on her. She was blocking the hits. At one point, Jadynn fell back on the couch, and Teetee did catch her in the mouth, I think, and her mouth was kind of bleeding a little bit. And, Teetee did try to get on top of her, but Jadynn kicked her off, so she wasn't really able to beat up Jadynn. So I wouldn't say she beat up Jadynn, but she definitely got one good hit on her that was able to make her bleed a little bit. Janelle's ends up coming on stage, and her and Shay start fighting, and obviously Shay ended up winning because Janelle's can't really fight. I'm not going to say she just gets beat up, but she can't really fight because because she always has her eyes closed and her head turned and she swings blindly, and that was why Shay was able to take over. The hosts start bringing up the fact that when Teetee and some of the other girls started taking Jadynn, Oxy, and Shay's beds, they didn't really do anything. They sat there and allowed it to happen, and then when Teetee came in the room and messed up their beds, they sat up there and watched her do it, and they didn't do anything about it. I will say I understand that the first time their beds got taken and a bunch of the girls came into their room, I can completely understand why they didn't fight, because at the end of the day, they were completely outnumbered. It was 2 against like 5 or 6 other girls, so I can understand why they didn't do anything that time. But when Teetee came in and messed up their beds in the next house, I definitely feel like they should have done something about that. I'm not gonna lie though, I did think it was funny when Isaiah ended up asking Coco why she was acting like she was being held hostage in the room when Jadynn ended up locking the door because the girls were talking about taking her luggage. Coco said that the reason why she unlocked the door is because Jadynn was being messy in her situation with Daisy and Bahati, because Jadynn overheard Coco telling Daisy that Bahati said that Daisy was saying that Coco was copping pleas and that's why she didn't want to fight her. But basically Jadynn felt some type of way about that because she felt like that wasn't what Bahati was saying, and she felt like Coco was switching around her words. And I feel like, you know, Jadynn was right in that situation. Coco definitely flipped around, you know, Bahati's words. She never said that Daisy said she was copping pleas. She said she felt like Coco was copping pleas. So if that's Coco's reasoning for opening the door so that the girls could take Jadynn's luggage, I think that's crazy. At one point, Janisha does end up asking Jadynn if she felt like she was bullied, and she said that she doesn't feel like she was bullied, but she definitely felt like the girls were picking on her, and I definitely agree. I think they were picking on her because they saw that she's not really a fighter, and they saw her as an easy target, and that's why they jumped down her throat the way that they did throughout the season. Gloss Up was losing me at this reunion though. She already lost me throughout the season. I thought she was going to redeem herself at the reunion, but no, she started saying that those girls were too old to be saying that they were being bullied. But she didn't have that energy for Ming when Ming was trying to say that Shay was trying to bully her because she was small. So that's what I don't understand. If you think that they're all too old to be saying that they were bullied, then why didn't you say that to Ming? Because Ming's not that much younger than the rest of the girls on the show. Most of the girls on this show were 21 years old. Ming was 19. She was not that much younger than them. Natalie is tired and she's drunk, and she starts telling Janisha to get on with giving away the money and the rest of the baddies chains. And so basically Natalie starts passing around a bottle of liquor, and Daisy is sipping out of the bottle of liquor, and all of a sudden Teetee comes over there and pops Daisy out of nowhere, and the liquor gets everywhere. I thought that shit was crazy. But those are my thoughts on this week's episode of Baddies Gone Wild Reunion Part 2. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video.